Was born and raised in South Central LA. In my culture and the way I grew up, success is a different definition for a woman. When I started the business, we had trouble getting a line of credit or getting a loan. And now I'm looking forward to get to 27 million when I'm 40. There were a lot of times where I felt like I didn't belong, but something that I've learned along the way is that you decide where you belong. You're there for a reason. You're in this industry. You're a valuable player in this industry. So just focus on what you do best, work hard, and amazing things will happen. Hi, this is Lorena Camargo, CEO and founder of Pearl Trans Logistics, and you're watching Truck and Hustle.
Hustle fam, we are back with another amazing episode, and today I am super excited. Man, we are live at Manifest, and I have my friend Lorena Camargo from Pearl Trans Logistics, all the way from beautiful California, joining us today. Lorena, how are you?
I am good. I am so excited to finally meet you and finally be on the podcast.
Lorena, I've been waiting for this moment. It feels like all my life, and we finally made it happen. So I'm so happy to have you here to tell your story. I've had plenty of people in our community want to kind of hear about your niche, what you do, how you built your business. And, that's what we talk about here on Truck and Hustle. So we always like to, kind of start with the backstory, and I'll put some context. Lorena is the founder and CEO of Pearl Trans Logistics, which is a last mile delivery service specializing in air freight, correct?
That's correct.
Correct. All right. So we're going to talk about that because we know here on Truck and Hustle, the riches are in the niches, right? So we're going to talk about niching down your business and how you can specialize in something that's going to obviously help your bottom line. But first, Lorena, let's get into your backstory. Tell us a little bit about where you're from and just, a little quick 5 to 5 minute version of who you are.
Sure. Well, I was born and raised in South Central LA. So I had dreams of going to college. That was going to be my definition of success. But obviously in my culture and the way I grew up, success is a different definition for a woman. And I wanted to be a mechanical engineer, but even though I had gotten accepted to college, got a scholarship, that just didn't pan out for me. So the summer after high school, I applied at a company, and turns out it was a courier company, something that I had never heard of. And I was hired to answer phones. And I just fell in love with the atmosphere, and it opened up a whole new world for me. I was on the phone talking to an aircraft company. Next, I was placing an order for a large format printer, talking to a cryobank, and it was just all in a day's work. So it was just an exciting world for me. I quickly worked my way up from customer service to dispatch to operations, and I became the VP of operations within 4 years at that company.
So you said this was directly out of high school? You
Yes.
applied for this position?
Yes.
So did you ever go to college?
I did. I was taking some business classes. I went to a community college.
Okay.
And I was thinking that I was going to transfer out and, pursue that dream of being a mechanical engineer.
Yeah.
But then as I fell in love with this industry and what I was doing, I pivoted. I dropped all my calculus classes and physics, and I started taking accounting and other business and communications classes because I was going to be all in. Like, this is what I wanted to do now. I wanted to have a business career in logistics.
Yeah. I want to rewind back really quickly. You said coming up, what in your culture, success, what defines success for a woman look different than what, you wanted to kind of attain. So what is your culture? What's your background?
I'm from Central America. My parents were born in Guatemala.
Okay.
And they migrated here and then met here. And me and my sisters were born in LA.
Okay. So from your family's perspective, what would success have looked like for you?
Yeah. So I was born and raised in South Central LA. I really didn't have such a great childhood and tough teenage years. So I knew that I wanted a better life for myself. So I knew that the way to do that was, or I thought was just to go to college, graduate, and then get a job. So I did all the right things. Like I took all the required classes, all the extracurricular activities that were required to have a great college application. But when the time came around, I got accepted to the school of my dreams, got a full ride scholarship. So my whole life, my parents, instilled in me, do good in school. But that just meant, I guess for them, just go to school, be a good kid. But for me, it meant like, get accepted to a good college. So when I came home and talked to them about I got accepted to the school, it's in the East Coast, they're like, why are you going to go through all of that? Why are you going to go through 4 years of education? You're going to be married, your early 20s, you're going to have kids, you're going to have to stay at home. Your husband's career is really, he's going to be the breadwinner of the family. Why are you going to go through all of that?
Right.
And so that was just really, disappointing because so why'd y'all tell me to do good in school? Like I literally did my very best and achieved this dream, got into the college that I wanted to get into, got a full ride scholarship. And I imagined that I was going to work, back then I wanted to work for JPL and work on all these, aircrafts that we're going to discover back then, Planet X, when Pluto was still a planet.
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Yeah.
And it just, it was just disappointing to me, but I knew that either way, like I had to work hard. It was just going to be harder for me because even though I had put in all this work in high school, I was just going to have to start from scratch at a community college.
Got it. That's amazing. So growing up in South Central, I haven't been to South Central, but from what I've heard, I'd imagine there's not a lot of opportunity right there. Where did you get the idea to become like a mechanical engineer and work on airplanes? Like, did you know somebody who did it? Like, is just a dream as a kid? Like, where'd that come from?
Well, I guess the kind of good thing about going to school in South Central LA is that USC's nearby. So they had a lot of outreach programs to help those disadvantaged, which was me, to look towards those opportunities. So they helped my high school come up with a robotics program. So they would send their student engineers come help us like weld the parts, program robots, and we got to participate in robotics competitions.
Got it.
So from then I was like, man, that's pretty cool because you see like a couple scraps, all of a sudden then our robot went on to compete and it actually like did a pull-up. That was like almost 20 years ago. Obviously robots have
now they're breakdancing, they're doing more than pull-ups, but
yeah, they're doing a whole but it was just like you just see out of just some little scraps like something amazing, and
right.
I really wanted to be part of that.
That's cool. I mean, you obviously were a super bright kid, to want to, because kids see that kind of stuff, but for them to want to get involved in it is kind of different. Like there's something in your DNA there that says, I want to that resonates with me, right? And that followed you through your life, which is pretty cool. And it comes back full circle as you get into business, but we'll get into that. So you started working for this courier business fresh out of high school. You apply, you get the job, and you say you start working your way up through the ranks. Right. So kind of tell us about what's the highest point that you reached in that business, and kind of tell us how that situation kind of ended and what happened next.
Yeah. So the reason why I started working there was actually, it was a friend of the family. He was the operations manager at this company. So, obviously I still had to interview and, do all that stuff. But so once he hired me and I was working there was a couple other girls that were there answering phones. So in between phone calls though, I would go to the other departments because I felt comfortable. And I was like, hey, so what do you guys do here? I was curious because again, it was like a whole new world. I wanted to know like everything that was going on behind the scenes.
Right.
And even like I would help the operations manager. I saw him make some sales calls and I would listen to him and I would be like, hey, can I try one? And actually fun fact, like I did, when I was 18, this one sale call that I did with Balcony Press, they're still my customer to this day.
Oh, wow.
So even though that company that I was working for had to shut shut down, they're still doing work with us. And that's kind of exciting. And I always, whenever I talk to her, it's like I always remind her, like, hey, you are literally my first customer.
That's super cool. So they were in the air freight niche as well, this company, this courier business?
Yes.
Okay.
So they did courier, trucking, and air freight.
Okay.
So I got a little bit about, I got to learn about each of the aspects of each of these industries.
Yeah, they're diversified.
Right. And I mean, and when you think about it, though, air freight is within that courier. I know, we like to think of it as, two different things. But if you really think about it, though, with air freight, the reason why you put a package on a plane is because you want it to get there quicker. So, in my what I think is that also air freight falls within that expedited courier world, because you're really just trying to get a package from point A to point B the quickest and most cost-effective way.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. So how long do you work with this company that we're talking about now?
So I started in 2000. Actually, I shouldn't say that because I'm dating myself, but
you started, period. And then you ended, period. No, go ahead. Yeah.
So I started in 2005, and in 2011, the company owner started to have some health issues and a couple other things. He just wanted to be done with the business. He wanted to just close his doors. So then that's when I found the opportunity to venture out on my own, because I had really great relationships with all these customers, and they needed somewhere to go to. So it's not like, overnight I was like, hey, I could start my own company. It did take a lot of convincing from the company owner, because he's like, well, you've been running my business for these last couple years. Now you get to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
So I'm really grateful for Barry, because he helped me see in me that I could do this for myself, and I have been doing it. And actually, we started in 2011. It's now 2023.
Yeah.
So
congrats.
Thanks.
That's crazy. Go ahead.
I've been working for myself longer than what I worked for him.
How about that? So did he actually dissolve the business, or like at that moment, or was he just kind of like transitioning, phasing out, and was like, just take the customers, spin up your own thing? Like how did that kind of work, the transition from Barry's company to Pearl Trans?
Yeah, well, it was two separate entities.
Yeah, for sure.
And not every customer went with me. It's not like I could force them, to come with me,
right?
Because it was their choice. But he did have a conversation with each of the clients. Like, I'm closing my doors. You gave them, a couple months warning, but Lorena will be starting her own company, and that was really important also, because I know that this industry is, there's a lot of great partnerships, but there is some cutthroat competition.
Yeah.
So, and actually, the previous operations manager did venture out and start his own business and try to take some of his customers.
For sure.
So I wanted to make sure I didn't start out with that reputation. So it was important for me to, for them to know that I was not doing this behind anyone's back. Like,
right.
it was going to be
transparent with the whole process through.
Exactly.
All right. So now you have this huge opportunity, huge undertaking. As you said, you didn't even necessarily believe in yourself at that time. He had to kind of let you see the potential that you had, right? So once you develop the confidence and you say, all right, I'm going to start on my own, what do? Tell me about those first couple of months getting started.
Well, it was really exciting. Like, okay, yes, I can do this, right? But then it's like, you really, like, okay, gotta file this paperwork, I gotta do this, gotta do that. Then it's, all of that. And even though I already had great customers that I was gonna work with, I already had like an initial starting base. I still needed capital to start the business. So when I was looking into this, I was 23, and I had taken 2 semesters of accounting, and obviously I had that real life experience of accounting. So I started drawing up my cash flow statement, my all the projections, because I knew the numbers, I knew the volume that these customers had. So I went into the bank and I was like, okay, I'm just going to get a loan, because these customers pay within 30 to 45 days. I just, I need to meet payroll for 15 days,
Yeah.
biweekly payroll.
Yeah.
So I walked in and I was like, all believing in myself and confident, like, hey, so these are the customers I have promised they're going to do work with us. And this is my projections. And they're like, yeah, but you're young. You don't have credit. I mean, I was 23.
Right.
I didn't even have like a great savings account. That's just not something that, I mean, really, the way I grew up, it's not like you save money. If anything, like most of my childhood, I saw my parents live paycheck to paycheck. So I really didn't even know,
What
savings
saving money
account
was about, right?
Yeah. So, that was definitely a challenge, but luckily, again, in my whole life, I've had people that believed in me. And so it was thanks to a friend of a friend that was able to give me that, to loan me that initial capital. And I was like, okay, great. Thank you. According to my projections, I could pay you back in 3 months. And he's like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. I'll give you 3 years to pay me back.
Wow.
And I'm glad he gave me that flexibility. I was able to pay him back though in 9 months.
Okay.
I did stretch it out a little, but I wanted to make sure that, like he believed in me. I want to make sure that he knew it wasn't just him giving money away. Like, I was going to be responsible and, do what I was supposed to do, pay him back. And I was able to do that in 9 months.
For sure. That's what you call favor, man. You have favor, God's favor. How much money did he loan you?
$25,000.
$25,000. And what did you do with it?
So at the very beginning, we try to be as frugal as possible. So I was on call 24/7. I did have another dispatcher that worked with me. He was actually working with me at the previous company. And
do you have a space at this time? Do you have office space? Like on the equipment side, like talk about how the business looks like at this $25,000 point when you start investing the money in.
Yeah. So I needed to have an actual office. So we started with it was a tiny office. It was maybe 200 square feet. It was going to be $600 a month. So it was just perfect because all I needed was to put in 2 desks in there. That's all we needed, and 2 computers. And I worked with the same owner operators that I had been working with before, because I also had great relationships with them.
Yeah. And
I was on call 24/7. And most of the deliveries, we had deliveries, we're open 24/7. However, there's a surcharge for any deliveries that come in after 9 p.m. So, since we don't get a lot of phone calls at that time, I had to do what I had to do, since those are the high paying orders. I did them myself because I needed to keep as much cash in the business.
So in your world, in the air freight world, for a layperson such as myself who may not understand it, explain how it works. How does your operation work, right? How do you get orders? Who are you communicating with? What are you doing on a day-to-day basis? Explain your business model for people who may not understand.
Sure. So we started in 2011. However, we didn't become an indirect air carrier, an IAC, which is the certification so you could tender cargo to the airlines. We didn't start that till 2012. And we had it because it's a free program. It's just all the compliance that has to go with it. But we just had it as a just in case for our customers. Most of our customers back then were in large format printing. So their customers are like Disney, Sony, and all these other big entertainment companies. So they have salespeople that have meetings at 8 a.m. in the East Coast. So they rely on FedEx and UPS to getting those packages out there on time. However, because the nature of their business, a machine could break down when they're running press, but there's still stuff that has to get out there. So if they miss their FedEx cutoff, they have to find a way to ship their product. So we would have this air freight service just as a backup for them whenever they needed it. So we would do a couple shipments a month, maybe 2 shipments a month. It wasn't anything. It wasn't anything, a lot of volume. However, though, as time has progressed and we've been expanding more we've been specializing in work for healthcare facilities. There's now a need for specimens to be transferred in between fertility clinics. And that's a big thing that we've done in the last 2 years. We've really specialized within the fertility sector. We started with the cryobank that ships out donor sperm. So with that, there's also frozen embryos that need to be transported, eggs, and a person may start their treatment like in Utah and may few years later move to California. Well, all of that has to be transported. So within the last 2 years, we've been specializing in work we do with healthcare facilities, specifically within the reproductive and fertility life sciences work. So we started with one of our major companies or major customers is California Cryobank. So we started shipping to they have other offices in Northern California and a couple offices in the East Coast. So they were looking for another solution that was a little more reliable than FedEx because, obviously FedEx is a great service. That's why they're so big. But, things tend to happen from time to time. However, within life sciences, there is no margin for error. So what we're transporting for a California Cryobank is donor sperm. So it's items that needed to get shipped out right away. And it has to be stored at a certain temperature.
Okay.
So it can't be on a truck for longer than 48 hours. So, but, specifically like right now, there's storms. It's just stuff that no company can control. But there was tanks that were stuck on trucks for like a couple days. And so that specimen would spoil. It would be no good. So they started looking for other solutions, and we did all of their local groundwork. So that's when they're like, hey, so who can we use for air freight? And do you know anyone? And I was like, yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, we do. We're in IAC. We do this, we do that. We have accounts with the airlines. And so that's when we implemented a couple solutions. So now we do a weekly route where we're transporting specimens to all their various offices.
All right, guys, listen, before we continue the show, I got to give a shout out to our sponsor and our partner, OTR Solutions, formerly OTR Capital. But listen, guys, OTR is much, much more than just a factoring company. They provide so many solutions to help the small carrier not only get into business, but to stay in business and maintain, right? So you guys have to partner with them and check them out. Don't take my advice for it. Talk to their clients, right? Talk to their clients. Find out what the people are saying. Everybody will tell you the same thing. So make sure you give OTR Solutions a call at 470-900-3338 or click the link in the bio below. Make sure you check them out and tell them Truck and Hustle sent you. So you're picking up the specimen at one location and then you're taking it where? Where's the next stop? So I'm just trying to understand the flow of how things go with these like transfers. So you pick up the specimen at wherever the hospital or whatever it is, right? And then you're taking it to the airport?
Yeah, so we do the whole thing. Okay. So we have our couriers pick it, well, depending where it is, because we also have a nationwide network.
Okay.
So for example, in LA, that's where their headquarters is. We'll pick up the specimen. We'll go to the airport. There's certain airlines that we ship out with, just depending what the transit time is, because even if a flight leaves before, if it has a stop, it may not get there on time. So we coordinate all of that. The driver tenders to the airport, and then we make sure that cargo actually got tendered to the flight, because sometimes cargo tends to be bumped. So we gotta stay on top of that. Yep. And then we coordinate on the other end to make sure there's a courier waiting as soon as the flight lands and it's ready for recovery. We have a courier pick it up and then take it straight to the end. To the end user. So it's end to end. So on your end, it's a Pearl Trans driver picking it up, taking it to the airport, making sure it gets on the flight. And then on the other end, there's somebody who's then picking it up from there and taking it to the end user. Now, that person is not a Pearl Trans driver. That's somebody else who's within your network that you're connecting logistically to make everything happen. Yeah, we make sure that all our partners are vetted, and it's people that I've met at CLDA. So it's people that I break bread with. Like, we share the same values. And again, in this industry, we all know mistakes tend to happen.
Yeah.
Just we reduce that margin of error. But it's people that have that proactive communication that we do, because if there's an issue, we got to let our customer know. We don't like to blindside our customers. So that's how most of that's how all our nationwide network is composed of. It's just other couriers like Pearl that are going to uphold the same values and same level of service that we would.
Got it. And you said with these specimens, you have 48 hours, right? They have to, and there's like a cold chain, you said, so you have to have like a refrigerated vehicle, or how does that work?
No, it's self-contained.
Self-contained. Okay.
Yeah. So we ship it out in liquid nitrogen tanks. With dry vapor shippers, and they're able to maintain the temperature for 48 hours. But we don't like for it to literally 47 hours on the road with just 1 hour.
Yeah.
That's why we make sure that we calculate the transit time right, to make sure that it's not sitting at the airport for no reason.
Okay. So you're also, so not only are you running Pearl, but you're also creating opportunities for other people as well, right? Within your network. So for someone to work with you, right, what would be the requirements? Like, what type of vehicles are you looking for? What type of companies are you looking for? Do they have to have be established in any type of certain way, or have any type of particular compliance? Like, who are you looking for to work with to do these moves?
We work with several owner-operators and other carrier companies to do these type of deliveries. We do work with a company that helps certify drivers. Like, even I have to be certified.
Yeah.
If there's a spill, or you never know. Again, you try to have the utmost care with these specimens, but you still have to be certified, and you have to be compliant with that annual training. We've never had an incident, luckily, but people still have to be certified, and we help coordinate the training with certain with the people that we work with, because it's an annual training.
Okay.
So it's not like you just get trained once and you're certified forever. We have someone that
got to stay
stays
updated. Mm-hmm. So these moves are being done in what, cars, vans? What are you guys moving these specimens in?
Depending on the shipment. So most of these are single one-off tanks. So sometimes even a sedan can carry them. We're starting to ship out the larger LN2 tanks, which actually require a lift gate, because even though they're 250 pounds, which may not seem like a lot, I mean, for one tank, one person really cannot carry it on their own, because they may get injured, and also the tank can just tip over and then spoil the specimen. So but it doesn't require refrigerated vehicles, because the container itself contains the temperature.
Got it. So you guys sometimes have two people on the vehicle, like lumpers or like a driver assist type of thing, right? To kind of help move it. How's your relationship with the airport? Do you guys wait there a lot? Like, I'm just imagining going to the airport. What are you pulling up in the back where all the planes are loading or something like that to get it on there? Is that how it works?
Yeah. So with LAX, we have accounts with several of the airlines, just depending on the need. So most of the airlines have their cargo facilities outside, which makes it easier. However, there's a couple that are inside the airport. So then that means that the driver has to park, get out of his vehicle, cross the street, go wait in line. So that does make it a little more challenging. With the cargo facilities outside the airport, because they have their own parking, it does make it a little easier. However, also another challenge is that with certain airlines, we already anticipate an hour or 2 hour waiting time, which does make it a little difficult, which is why we have to just make sure that whatever flight we put it on, it's going to make sense, because we already know if the driver is going to pick up at 3 p.m. and the flight leaves at 5, even though it's a 1 hour lockout, and you think, he's going to make it on time, we already anticipate he's going to have 2 hours waiting time. Let's not even count on that flight, because it's not he's going to get there, but just because he got there and he's in line, if that cargo isn't tendered by the lockout time, which is usually an hour, it's not going to get on that flight.
Got it. So what? Okay. So how does it work? Because you said you have to put it on the flight. So you guys are actually choosing the flight that this goes on to as well.
Yes.
So you're scheduling the pickup, right? So they're saying, okay, this specimen is ready. I'm just trying to get the whole flow, right? Somebody calls you and says, hey, Lorena or Pearl Dispatch, this specimen is ready. Come pick it up. Now the clock starts ticking, right? So they're gonna go pick it up. At that point, you're already looking to find which flight this can go on. So you must have like some sort of manifest with all the different flights that are leaving to where you got to go, right? And then you have to pick the flight. And then who are you communicating with to let them know, hey, this is going on your flight? Like, how does that work? And then I assume after you choose that, they get there, and then it goes, flies there, it lands, and then somebody else takes it. So who's the communication? You're calling the airline, or they have a dispatch, and you're saying, we're going to put this specimen on this flight, or there's some codes or some numbers or something like that. How does it work? Explain it to me, because I'm trying to get it. Don't laugh at me. I'm trying to understand here.
No, I was just laughing because it's actually something that they mentioned at the last session that I was at. It used to be really old school like that a few years ago. Actually, even like 2 years ago. Yeah. But now, thankfully, the airlines are automating a lot of this process where we could book the shipment ahead of time online. Before, it used to be the driver used to get a paper air bill and you still have to like fill it out. So the shortcut that we would take is we would already have like all our information on there, just print out copies, give it to the driver. So then give him less work. So that way he really just has to put in where he's picking up and where it's dropping off, and all that information would be in there. But now, thankfully, the airlines, are utilizing certain technologies or whatever platforms they're on to make it easier for electronic air bill. So that way, our dispatcher just inputs all the information, and the driver shows up, gives them the air bill number, and then pulls it up. All the driver has to do is verify that all the details are correct, sign off on it, and the airline accepts the cargo.
Got it. And who do you invoice? You invoice the hospital, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, got you. And in terms of like the rates, are the rates like a fixed rate for these moves, or are there different things that impact the rates? How does that kind of work for you guys in billing?
Yeah, we've tried to streamline that process and automate those quotes. It is a little challenging sometimes, especially now with like all the weather disruptions, and that there's certain surcharges on that. But we've tried to simplify the process where we tell the customer a flat rate within the 10 miles of the airport, and then a charge for any additional mile, but there is a flat rate, and just depending where it's going, like for example, if it's Newark to LAX, if it's going to El Segundo, well, that's like 2 miles down. But if it's going all the way to like, I don't know, like Commerce or something, it's farther, so there is a surcharge for that. But also to help offset some of these costs, we make sure that the cargo lands at the nearest airport possible. So like a lot of people, California is just LA and San Francisco, right? That's what they think. But, San Diego has its own airport. So it wouldn't make sense for us to fly it to LA and then drive it down to San Diego, because that's an extra like 2 hours and an extra 200 miles that we would charge. So we make sure that, whatever makes sense, we fly it to the nearest airport to be cognizant of the charges to our customer.
Got it. How many of these moves are you guys doing on a, I guess, weekly basis? How many pickups and just pickups and deliveries do you guys do? Like, I guess do you look at it weekly? Is that like your metrics? Is that how you guys kind of look at it?
Yeah. So it was just in like the last 18 to 24 months that we started specializing in these. So we're still doing like a couple dozen.
Okay.
The majority of our work is still the traditional courier and last mile space, but
Okay.
we're branching out more into these specifically within the healthcare facilities, because we know that some of these facilities are looking for that personal, that in a way, white glove service where it's not just going to be when the specimens packages a box is going to be thrown in the back of a truck.
Right. Need some care.
Yeah, these are just standalone shipments that are gonna go. Driver's gonna pick it up, and actually, there's gonna be less humans touching it in a way where it's just the courier's dropping it off to the airport staff, and then a driver's picking it up on the other end, instead of like all these other checkpoints where there's that risk of the specimen getting spoiled or the specimen getting lost.
Got it. So outside of this opportunity, so what is your bread and butter? You said the normal kind of courier moves. What does that mean? What are normal courier moves that you'd be doing on a regular basis?
So most of our we've diversified our customer base. At the beginning, it was mainly large format printers. They're still a big part of the work that we do, but now we also work more with like aircraft manufacturer parts. So between the manufacturer and like the welder and someone else that does something else, we transport the parts from point A to point B pretty much, and our driver may be at the same facility a couple times a day, just picking up, dropping off, just between the checkpoints. And even also with like our large format printer customers, those proofs, because what they print are like the large bus shelters, or you'll probably see them like in the freeway.
Yeah.
Those big banners. That stuff can be emailed, but some of it does have to be printed because eventually it's going to be printed. So they have to like sign off on the color and all this stuff. So it's just going back and forth, which I guess back in the day it was called a messenger. I feel like, this industry, it's evolving. That's great. So it went from like sure. Messenger back in the day, now Courier. Actually, now it's last mile. So it's just really just, point A to point B, which we love because our drivers get to go see the same people every day. It's like,
right. It's consistent. They get to know who they are, and it's like that real customer service feel, right? They know them by their first name and all that good stuff.
Yeah, because how often have you had the same Uber driver twice?
Never.
Yeah. So that's what our customers love about our service, because it's specialized and they get to talk to the same people.
Got it. Okay, cool. So in terms of equipment, what do you guys use to transfer these printers and so forth and so on?
We use mainly sedans. That's what most of our fleet is comprised of, because it's smaller items. We don't really, I guess bulkier items really are just like maybe like 3% of the work that we do. That's why we're so grateful we can count on a large network. So that way we have a variety of fleet vehicles that we have access to. So no matter what our customer needs, we're able to provide that for them. But the majority of the work that we do does regular sedan works.
Small sedans. What about branding? I noticed that everything is like nicely branded and everything like that. Is it important for you to have all your vehicles branded, or do you have some stuff that's like kind of like, non-spec'd out, like just like a white car? Like how does that kind of work?
Yeah, actually that's interesting because if it was up to me, I'd love to have like bunch of vehicles and you see pearl everywhere. Right. But that's financially not possible. But we do have a few branded vehicles, and you would think that it's safer for people like, oh, okay, they work for Pearl, I'm gonna hand them the package. But we actually had a complaint from someone who was one of our fertility customers, because we have Pearl Trans, and a sub brand is Courier. So we actually had a complaint from one of the customers. They're like, I don't want my neighbors to know that I'm going through this process. So next time that you guys come here, please make sure it's an unmarked vehicle. I had never, I hadn't even thought of that. Right? Yeah. So now we make sure that if we're picking up from a residence or dropping off from a residence, depending on the circumstances, we make sure it's an unmarked vehicle, because it's something that I didn't even consider. But a lot of people are private with their fertility, their parenthood journey, makes sense.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we respect what they're going through.
For sure. You mentioned IAC earlier. What's that acronym for?
That's indirect air carrier. So you get that through TSA. You go through a whole process, and then you have to have compliance where you have to have your drivers go through an STA, security threat assessment, which is really a comprehensive background check to make sure that the people that are tendering the cargo to the airline, it's safe, because air cargo is huge. However, you also have to keep in mind also that there's also most of this freight is going on passenger flights, so you really want to make sure that the people that are tendering cargo have gone through this background process. So that's why TSA has it set up for the safety of passengers, but also safety for other cargo, because just like we're tendering specimens, pharmaceuticals, there's other companies that are tendering that freight. So it's just for the overall safety of the industry that TSA requires it.
Got it. That's what that bumping around in the cabin is when you're on the plane. You always boop boop boop. Like, what is that? It's you, Lorena. So in terms of compliance and just keeping your company compliant outside of that, the IAC, right? Is there anything else that you guys have to be compliant with? And is there any like special types of insurance that you guys need to run your business? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so we have our general cargo liability insurance, obviously auto insurance. Yeah. But in the recent years, we've started working with utilities companies and also with other federal and state agencies. So what they require is that errors and omissions policy. Some of the documents that we're carrying is stuff we're carrying it because it can't be encrypted, it can't be emailed. So that's why they use couriers like us.
How do people typically find you to work with you? Is it like referral business? Do you do a lot of marketing? And if you do, like, who are you marketing to? How do you find opportunities?
Yeah, we have very limited marketing. We're on social media. We have our website, but I've been very fortunate where our customers are our biggest salespeople. We have grown significantly because of all the relationships that we've built with our customers, and they see that we're doing a good job. So, again, in this industry, there's always, late packages, or not even, it's just other issues, communication issues or other stuff. So whenever someone tells them that they're having an issue with their courier, they'll be like, hey, we use Pearl and this has been our experience using them. And so then they make that introduction. So we've grown significantly thanks to those referrals that people just think of us.
Truck and Hustle family, I'm coming to you with an exclusive deal just for you. Call 800-991-6251 to get 10% off on your first purchase.
Got it. How do you typically differentiate yourself from your competitors? And I'm assuming you probably don't have a lot of competitors in your space, or do you? Are there a lot of other couriers in the area that do what you do, or are you kind of like the only one?
No. There's thousands of couriers. Okay. The only thing is that, not that we don't consider them competition. It's just there's a different way that we do things. And actually, there's a couple other couriers within the LA and Bay Area that are actually partners for us. So whenever there's an overflow of we have a hectic day, instead of us running late on our packages, like we have a partner that helps us with that overflow. So we have great relationships with them in a sense that they're competitors, but we like to think of them as partners. At least that's the approach that I have.
You take, because that could get kind of dicey too, right? You open up, your work to other people who are quote unquote helping you out, but they could also then poach your customers, right?
Oh yeah,
potentially.
No, that's why we make. There also has to be a couple of written agreements.
NDA, yeah, right.
Yeah,
little agreements in place. Yeah.
But we vet our partners, and we just. In this business in general, it's all about relationships. And that's why we like working with people that are like us. We may not be the biggest, we're not FedEx, we're not UPS, but we uphold the same values. And at the end of the day, we're really, this is a huge industry. There's a piece of a pie for everybody. So I don't have to go and get my friends, customers, and
Right.
they don't have to do the same with me. There's enough for everybody.
For sure. What are your goals for 2023? How are you guys looking to grow and expand the business and your footprint?
See, I don't want to say my revenue goal. Can
You
I
can
say my
say a revenue goal?
Can I
That
say
that don't mean that how much the revenue is. It's just a goal.
Well, okay. It's just I have this goal.
Mm-hmm.
I want us to reach $27 million in revenue by the time I'm 40, but the clock is ticking. So right now I'm working with a business consultant. We're gonna hire our first salesperson, and it's just we just had our 11-year anniversary. This is our 12th year. We've grown so much thanks to our customers, their referrals, the relationships that we've built. But now we really want to scale further. So I have this goal, and
That's a great goal.
yeah, and it's not gonna overnight. So the next 5 years are all about further building that sales team.
Got it.
I remember when I started the business, so we had trouble getting a line of credit or getting a loan when I first started the business. And I remember the loan officer telling me, like, I can't really, we can't give you a loan. I was like, okay, well, tell me what I could work on. So, because I want to I'm going to start this business, whether you help me or not.
Right.
Like, well, come back to us when you've hit $1 million. And I'm like, okay. How am I going to get there without your help?
Yeah.
Capital is needed. But yeah, so that was my first goal, getting to $1 million. And for a while we dwindled there, but we've been able to scale ever since. And so, yeah, I mean, that was my first goal. So, getting to $1 million, which we've been able to surpass. And now I'm looking forward to get to 27 million when I'm 40. And I feel like it may seem a little vain chasing a number, but the number 27 is special to me. And I just feel like why not? I mean, there's other companies that, like, in their second year, they're like at $1 billion. So 27 million, it's still a little, it's probably not as big of a goal to somebody else.
Yeah.
But I do want to reach that goal while maintaining 100% ownership. So that's very important to me. And I know that with the team that we've built and the environment that the people that I've surrounded myself with, I think it's a very doable goal.
Oh, for sure. Can you share why the 27? Because it seems like there's a deep meaning behind that. I'm interested. Why the number 27?
Sure. Well, I was born October 27th. So
Are you a Libra?
Well, I don't really.
Or did you just fall out where's Libras? Are you a Scorpio?
Well, I don't really believe in astrology.
Well,
I make my own
based
destiny.
based on the zodiacs. I'm just because I'm a Libra. Like, I don't care either. Like, that's cool that you don't. I know I'm kind of like my sign. Like, everything I read about Libras, I am like that. So I tend to be like, damn, it's pretty interesting. But either way, everybody who I meet who's a Libra is usually really great people. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay,
All
well-
my fellow Libras, but you're close enough. You're in October. So whether you are or you aren't, we're good. Go
Okay.
ahead. 27.
Yeah. So I was born October 27th. And then 27 is also, so according to SBA regulations, if you're a courier company, 27 million and under, you still qualify as a small business, which is great. I know a lot of people don't, when they hear small business, they think, between 1 and 3 million. No, it's, 27 million. So I still want to have access to SBA resources.
Smart.
And then also, I went through a really a dark period in my late 20s when I almost didn't reach my 27th birthday. But I mean, here I am. I'm not gonna say my age, although you could probably do the
27.
math. Yeah, 27. So yeah, and it's just, it's just a number that I threw out. And I remember it took us 4 years to get to that $1 million, even though that was my goal. It took us 4 years. I've since made myself set myself bigger goals than that, and
Yeah.
even though I haven't quite reached those goals, it still motivates me to push myself. I remember for a while, after we hit 1 million, my goal was 3 million, and then we were able to surpass that, and so now it's just like, let me just say 27 million.
Right. Speak it, manifest it.
Yeah. So I mean, this year I'm projecting for us to hit 8 million.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it happened.
Oh,
Damn, we're slick.
it's definitely going to happen. We got it. Now, that's an amazing story. I love how intentional, you are about your numbers, about your goals, and being that way, you surely will get there for sure. It's just a matter of time, Man, Lorena, this has been an amazing show. I feel like I learned a lot about you. I learned a lot about your space, your niche. So thank you for educating me on that, because I was lost in the sauce a little bit. So, and I want to continue to learn. Man, is there anything that I missed that you want to put out there, just in case, that you want to just let the audience know that you're working on, or anything like that, or did we kind of cover most of it?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that has contributed to our growth, though, is just focusing, like you said, on our niche.
Yeah.
I remember, when I started, because we were starting, I wanted to get like any type of business opportunity. So we had our hand in a lot of things. But what's contributed to our growth is that we've been focusing just on that expedited space. We already know how to do that work. So I remember one of my mentors, Jim, told me, you could either be a foot wide and an inch deep, or you could be an inch wide and a foot deep. So you really just want to focus on your niche, because that's where that's how you're going to grow, and you're going to have profitable growth. So there's 27 million. I'm not just looking to, get to 27 million and then have like a 3 million loss or something.
Right.
I also want to make sure that we stay profitable.
Yeah.
And that's the way, focusing on the niches.
For sure. This is a question I've been asking lately, and I'll ask you to kind of start wrapping up. Who is an entrepreneur, a person who you really look up to in the logistics space that you think we should have on this show also?
Oh, well, there's so many. I'm on the board of CLDA, as you know, and I've just really been fortunate where I'm not just a member there. I mean, it's a family, and there are just so many people there. I don't want to name anyone and then just leave them out, but
Yeah.
I've been really grateful that, I didn't go to college. I was relatively young when I started in this business, and it's people that I could really call up, and then just like, hey, so I'm going through this and this, and it's stuff that I could be vulnerable. I could share with them.
Yeah.
Everybody has like, what they specialize in. Even like with air freight, there's certain things that I'm still learning. There's no one person that knows it all,
Right.
especially as the industry keeps evolving. So I'm just really fortunate to have access to so many people that, I used to look at them, and I still do, like, as mentors, but now it's like they're my peers. Like, that's exciting. Like,
That is exciting.
now they ask me questions. That's exciting.
That's super exciting.
So I have a long list of
But you got to give me one. You thought of one person when I asked you that question, and then you went to, let me just give a shout out to the whole CLDA. So I get it, and that we love the CLDA. Shout to Jason Burns and Larry Zogby and everybody else. But just, who's the first person you thought of when I asked you that question?
Oh, well, one of my favorite people, Jim Berniker from Relay Express.
Okay.
He started out as a salesperson. Eventually, now he's the president of the company. And when I started, again, I was like, really shy. I was a hard worker, but I was really shy, really introverted, and
I don't believe that for 1 second.
hey, I still am. But man, like, he taught me so much of sales. He, like, what he expects from a salesperson. That's like, he even sent me like all the KPIs for his salespeople, and that's the stuff that I still hold myself accountable to this day. So he's been such a great influence on me, especially when it comes to sales, because that's the only way to grow. You can't be shy of making a cold call. Can't be shy to go introduce yourself to someone. You got to put yourself out there, and that's definitely something that he's really taught me, be brave. And really, at the end of the day, just you own the business, but just think of your salary. If you were working on commission, how much you would be making. And that's what pushed me. And so I'm just really grateful to him.
Can you educate us on one of those KPIs that he talked about in sales? I love sales. Just like one of the things that he taught you. You ain't got to talk about all of them. Just like the one thing that may stand out.
Oh, well, the one thing is you got to make 50 calls a day. And that's not even including the calls where you're following up with someone. That's like a brand new set of calls. So Cold calls. Yeah. I mean, luckily now, there's, a couple warm leads, but I don't make 50 calls a day because, on top of that, like there's other aspects of the business that we're running. That's why I'm working with a consultant to hire a salesperson. So that way there's a full-time person that's just dedicated to sales. Obviously, as the owner of the company, that's always going to be on my plate, but I want to focus more on those key relationships, those strategic partnerships, and those big accounts. We're also certified as a woman-owned company. So we've had a lot of opportunities there. That's how we started working with a couple utility companies, federal agencies, a couple state agencies, and those are the relationships that are also gonna help us get to that big goal that I've set for ourselves.
Got you. Did that change? When did you get certified?
I got certified in 2017, I think, 2017, but we never really did anything with it until 2020, because it's not like you get certified and
you just get your emails will start flooding, right?
Yeah, I wish it was like that. A lot of people think it's that way, but no, just because you're certified doesn't mean people are going to call you. You still have to go out there, put in the work.
Sell yourself, right?
And people aren't just going to like, oh, I'm a woman-owned company, give me work. Like, no, you still have to prove your value. Yeah. So, there's still work there. And those are the relationships that I also want to keep building.
Amazing. All right, Lorena, I think we got it now. I think we got everything. I think I got everything out of this interview that I needed. Before we go, we have to get a final thought. You watch Truck and Hustle, so we always got to do a final thought. That is going to be spiritual, entrepreneurial, anything you want to leave for the audience or somebody who's listening. The next Lorena Camargo may be listening right now, and they may need to be inspired by your words. So whatever you tell them. And then lastly, we want to know, how to connect with you and how to learn more about Pearl Trans. And if anybody, wants to work with you, any opportunities like that. So let's start with how they could connect with you, learn more about you and the business. And then we'll end off with that final thought. So floor is yours.
Yeah, you can visit us at pearltrans.com. I'm also very active on LinkedIn. You can look me up, Lorena Camargo. You can also email us, hello@pearltrans.com. And yes, that's a real email address that we check. And if you're interested in working with us, we'd love to have you on board.
Okay, amazing. And then let's go with the final thought. What are you going to leave our audience with today?
My final thought would be, I started in this industry as a shy, broken kid, and I worked my way up to now I own my own business. There were a lot of times where I felt like I didn't belong, or I just I felt like I didn't belong here. But something that I've learned along the way is that you decide where you belong. So and it doesn't mean not necessarily fake it till you make it. It's just like you're there for a reason. You're in this industry. You're a valuable player in this industry. So just focus on what you do best, work hard, and amazing things will happen.
That's for sure. You are certainly amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, your energy, and all your effort. Hustle fam, if you smell something burning, it is only a desire. Lorena proved that today. Man, it's been an amazing show. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Myself, Lorena Camargo from Pearl Trans Logistics. We are out.
If you twisted, confused, or stuck about trucks, don't be dumb. This is the place to come. Truck and Hustle. Let's go.